Hi guys, this video is part 1 of the revision of World of Work. Please do not share this video, this is only for the purposes of you to study for your exam. While you are waiting for part 2 and the other modules, go through this one so long. Hope this help.
Whether you're planning to work in an office, a shop, or start your own business, knowing your rights at work is essential. In South Africa, the Labor Relations Act helps protect workers and promote fairness. Let's break it down. What is the Labor Relations Act? The Labor Relations Act, or LRA, is a law that helps workers and employers work together peacefully. It supports fair treatment, teamwork, and solving problems without fighting. Trade unions and collective bargaining. Workers can join trade unions, groups that help them speak with one voice. Together, they can negotiate better pay, working hours, and conditions. This is called collective bargaining. The right to strike. If talks break down, workers can go on a legal strike, but only if they follow the rules. Employers can also lock out workers during disputes, but they must follow the law too. Solving disputes. Meet the CCMA. When there's a problem, like unfair dismissal or discrimination, the CCMA steps in. That's the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration. They help solve issues quickly and fairly. Workplace forums. Some companies create workplace forums, groups where workers and managers talk about important decisions together. It's all about teamwork. Unfair labor practices. The LRA protects workers from unfair treatment, like being fired without a reason or being treated badly because of who they are. Knowing your rights means knowing your power. The Labor Relations Act helps build a future where everyone is treated fairly. So wherever you go, stand tall, speak up, and work with respect. Today, we're diving into an important piece of legislation in South Africa, the Basic Conditions of Employment Act 75 of 1997. This act is fundamental in shaping the working conditions for employees across the country. Let's break it down together. Overview of the Act. The Basic Conditions of Employment Act, or BCEA, was enacted in 1997 to regulate and set minimum standards for employment conditions in South Africa. Its main goal is to ensure fair labor practices and protect the rights of employees. The Act applies to all employers and workers, but there are specific exemptions, which we'll touch on later. Key objectives. The BCEA aims to promote economic development by ensuring fair labor practices, protect employees from exploitation and unfair practices, establish a framework for the regulation of working conditions. Main provisions. Let's take a closer look at some of the core provisions included in the BCEA. Working hours. The Act sets out clear guidelines regarding working hours. Here are some of the key points. Ordinary hours of work. Employees should not work more than 45 hours a week. Typically, this means a 9-hour workday if the employee works 5 days a week, or an 8-hour workday for a 6-day workweek. Overtime. Overtime is limited to 10 hours a week, and it must be paid at 1.5 times the employee's normal wage. Meal breaks. Employees are entitled to a meal break of at least 1 continuous hour after 5 hours of work. Leave entitlements. The BCEA provides for several types of leave. Annual leave. Employees are entitled to 21 consecutive days of paid annual leave per year. Sick leave. Employees are entitled to 6 weeks of paid sick leave over a 36-month cycle. Maternity leave. Female employees have the right to at least 4 consecutive months of unpaid maternity leave. Family responsibility leave. Employees can take 3 days of paid leave per year for family responsibilities, such as the birth of a child or a serious illness in the family. Employment contracts. The Act requires that all employees be provided with a written employment contract. This contract must include essential details like the employer's and employee's details, job description, hours of work, and leave entitlements. Termination of employment. When it comes to ending a working relationship, the BCEA outlines the following. Notice periods. Employees are entitled to a notice period of 1 to 4 weeks, depending on their length of service. Severance pay. In cases of retrenchment, employees are entitled to at least 1 week's severance pay for each year of service. Exemptions and special conditions. While the BCEA applies broadly, there are exemptions. For instance, senior managerial employees, sales staff who travel, and employees who work less than 24 hours a month are among those partially exempted from certain provisions of the Act. Conclusion. And there you have it, a comprehensive overview of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act 75 of 1997. This act is crucial for protecting workers' rights and ensuring fair treatment in the workplace. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to share it with others who might benefit from understanding their employment rights. Feel free to leave any questions or comments down below, and let us know what other topics you'd like us to cover. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. The Employment Equity Act. In South Africa, equality in the workplace isn't just a goal, it's the law. The Employment Equity Act, passed in 1998, ensures that everyone has a fair chance to succeed, no matter their background. Purpose of the Employment Equity Act. The purpose of the Employment Equity Act is simple but powerful: to promote equal opportunity and eliminate unfair discrimination in the workplace. It's about building inclusive, diverse work environments where everyone can grow. The Act protects employees from discrimination based on race, gender, age, disability, religion, language, sexual orientation, HIV status, and more. Whether it's hiring, promotion, or pay, fairness must lead every decision. To correct the inequalities of the past, the Act requires affirmative action, steps employers take to support designated groups, including Black South Africans, women, and people with disabilities. This isn't about preference, but about building balance. Employment equity plans. Employers with more than 50 employees, or that meet certain turnover thresholds, must create employment equity plans. These outline how they'll improve diversity, consult with employees, and report progress to government. Regulating testing. Narration. The law also regulates medical and psychological testing, requiring them to be fair, valid, and necessary. In South Africa, the Employment Equity Act is more than just legislation. It's a commitment to equality, fairness, and growth for all.
Question 1. What legislation defines employment-related rules? The Basic Conditions of Employment Act, Act 75 of 1997, outlines the minimum standards that govern employment relationships in South Africa. Question 2. How do the Labor Relations Act and the Basic Conditions of Employment Act affect employees and employers? These laws provide a regulated framework that promotes fairness in the workplace. They ensure that both employers and employees understand their rights and responsibilities, and they create a lawful structure to manage employment relationships effectively. Question 3. What are the roles and responsibilities of the employer and the employee? The employer is responsible for the following: applying the company's recruitment policy fairly and consistently, officially receiving the employee into service, including proper induction and issuing a written employment contract in line with the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, ensuring that the work environment is safe, and that equipment and systems are well maintained, providing adequate training, clear work instructions, and supervision, making sure that workplace facilities are safe, hygienic, and appropriate, following internal disciplinary and grievance procedures, resolving disputes quickly and according to policy. The employee is responsible for following all health and safety instructions provided by the employer, using personal protective equipment and clothing correctly, handling equipment responsibly and only for its intended use, adhering to the company's policies and procedures. Question 4. What is the process for staff employment, disciplinary, and grievance actions? The company follows a formal recruitment and selection process to ensure fair hiring. Once a candidate is selected, they are required to sign a contract of employment that complies with the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. Upon appointment, every new employee must complete an induction process. The Labor Relations Act outlines the correct procedures for disciplinary and grievance matters, ensuring all actions are fair, legal, and consistent.
Question 5. What legislation governs employer-employee relationships? The Basic Condition of Employment Act and the Labor Relations Act. Question 6. Discuss the impact of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act and the Labor Relations Act on the employee. It formalizes the relationship between the employer and the employee. It creates a defined frame for employment. Question 7. List the company documents that assist in building the relationship between the employer and employee. Employment contract, workplace procedures, rules, code of conduct and ethics, organization values, basic labor relations. Question 8. Explain the role of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. The Basic Conditions of Employment Act ensures that An employee is received into service by providing them with a written contract of employment and a formal induction into the workplace. The work environment, systems of work, machinery and equipment are safe and properly maintained. The information, training, clear work instructions and supervision are provided to the employee. Adequate, safe and hygienic workplace facilities are available for workers. Question 9. Explain the role of the Labour Relations Act. The Labour Relations Act states that everyone has the right to fair labour practices. Every worker has the right, to not be unfairly dismissed, to be treated with dignity and respect, to be paid the agreed wage on the agreed date and at the agreed time, to be provided with appropriate resources and equipment to enable him/her to do the job. Question 10. Explain how legislation can help build a relationship between employer and employee. Both the Labour Relations Act and Basic Conditions of Employment Act, if implemented in the workplace, help eliminate grey areas in the employment relationship. This will make a positive contribution to the employer-employee relationship because the roles and responsibilities of both parties are clearly laid out in the legislation. Question 11. How does employment equity affect the employees? It promotes equity in the workplace. It ensures that all employees receive equal opportunities. It ensures that employees are treated fairly by their employers. Duplication. It ensures that employees are protected from unfair treatment by the Act. It ensures that employees are protected from any form of discrimination by the Act.